guys. Got the 1998 Honda VFR sorted out. Well, actually, another big, well, decision to be made, but I've already made it, and I've decided to hold on to her just a bit longer, just making sure everything is working smoothly. So after I made the video, I've already kind of noticed, I think, well, it was during the hot summer of August summer, pretty much. I started to notice that the bike was getting pretty warm, and at one point I installed like a Trail Tech coolant radiator fin sensor on the side of the radiators of the VFR, just because the gauge cluster wasn't working. And yeah, as it turns out, it had a radiator hose like inside of the gas tank where the V4 engine sits, right in the middle. It essentially was just all the hoses were bad, and I even got a look when we were taking it apart. It pretty much looked like swollen as can be. And at that point, you know, looking at forums, looking at all the stuff, I decided to you know, get it all sorted out, hold on to the bike, and it's definitely working a lot better. Let's see, it was a thermostat, all pretty much checking all the hoses and replacing the ones that were necessary to replace, because there was also there was a coolant leak that was causing the coolant level to go too low, so it wasn't a blown head gasket. When I installed the Trail Tech sensor one summer day, I noticed like the coolant reservoir, or it was boiling over essentially, and you can hear it. And yeah, and at one point I just installed like a bunch of coolant again through the radiator cap, and it was really low. So I just made sure for quite some time just to make you know, keep the reserve tank full and all that stuff. But eventually the leak got pretty bad, and I just chose to get it sorted out at some point. Had some time to come to the decision or conclusion that if I wanted to keep it or not, and I considered getting a different bike for the duration of like the major problems, I guess, engine, cooling, stuff like that, because I thought about like maybe getting like a smaller displacement bike, maybe getting like a maybe like a Grom or a scooter. It's on a little less aggressive and a little bit better gas mileage or whatever. But no, I just ended up, you know, wanting to change and replace everything on the bike that was not doing very good anymore. So, apart from the coolant system, like the thermostat and the hoses having to be changed up, and we also, there was also the issue of like the valve cover gaskets leaking. So it was also pretty visible. There's two of them, so on the V4 engine, so I didn't feel too much of a loss of power. But after driving it again, after it was replaced, I felt like I was missing out on a lot of power, of course. And I finally understand what a nice V4 Honda VFR first gen engine should feel like and should sound like, because I heard the V4 whine of the cam gears. I've always heard about it, but I didn't really hear it because I think I didn't have good valve cover gaskets for who knows how long, right? Because the 800cc engine is just powerful enough, and obviously the technology of the 98 bike is usually not hindered. The sensors don't detect like some nonsense going on, and it just keeps rolling through it. So after that, yeah, I also had another problem with the bike. It was typically on the freeway. I felt like I started to notice it slightly through myself, but it was like the handlebar was pushing one direction, depending if I would go like 50 to 60 miles per hour, then it would kind of just like shift to one side very easily, or just way too easily. And that problem ended up being on this VFR, the steering head bearings or steering neck bearings. So that pretty much also was down in the dumps after around 80,000 miles, close to 90,000 miles on it. So yeah, considered changing a few other things, but kept the suspension the same for the time being. Just a lot better handling on it. You know, obviously it's not wobbling all over the place. Or, I mean, it wasn't that bad, but you can tell like it's like a ghost is pushing it, and you kind of have to perpetually correct it every once in a while, depending on what speed. And usually on hard acceleration, it's very difficult to keep it stabilized when you hard acceleration. So yeah, it's kind of a safety concern overall when you're braking, all that stuff. So wasn't that bad of a thing to do on the bike. I also had just general maintenance, spark plugs, oil, and the filter, not that bad. There was a few more leaking vacuum hoses, suspension minor adjustments that I could have, front and rear. I also had the clutch system had to be serviced as well. So that was a bit more down the line, interestingly enough. And the clutch system, let's see, rebuild. It was essentially just replacing the clutch system and just giving the master cylinder a bit of a rebuild as well. It got to one point where like pretty much like I couldn't find neutral, and I could not shift very easily. So I think at one point I was shifting the bike, or I burned out the clutch for sure, but I was just not able to shift with the clutch at all, I think. And you heard some pretty clunky, smooth clunks. Obviously, I'm not like forcing anything, but I'm having to shift at times. So I got home one day. I was out on the road, and I got home, trying to get home. I was like, God damn it, I can't shift and all that stuff. Then after a few times, you know, I hadn't been driving it a lot. But then one day, pretty much, it was slipping, like a lot of slipping. And essentially, it would slip every like even if I give it like 30% to 40% of the throttle. So I was able to hit 80 miles an hour on the highway, but it was slipping a lot, and it was probably not safe. But I got it to the shop that way. I was able to get the clutch replaced, and lo and behold, that solved that problem, of course. So yeah, essentially that's like a lot of systems, right? The coolant system, the transmission, or the service parts of the transmission, general maintenance, hoses, obviously a part of that system. So overall, it was a pretty steep bill for the bike. But I mean, all things considered, after owning the bike for so long and not having like, I mean, it's true, like somebody will see it from the outside and say this thing is probably like not worth all that money, but literally throughout that whole duration of like what 8-7 years and driving it pretty much daily, which is impressive, and then not having as much of a hiccup, you know. One time it didn't start, but that was only because the battery was old, and I never even looked at the battery. I was pretty bad at maintenance when I first bought the bike, or any general like automotive or mechanical stuff. So and another, well, yeah, I'll say another thing I was able to get my hands on, and it took so long to get my hands on, was the gauge cluster, a working gauge cluster for this bike. And interestingly enough, this bike's gauge cluster has like a nice VFR icon that has a light bulb and it lights up, and it looks cool. I think most of the Japanese or certain models, special models, had that, but I have a Gixxer as well, so I didn't see the light either, and I'm very disappointed. But anyways, it's just a little extra touch, and I have a working like I did before it blew out. I got myself a little bit of top speed going on here, showing a little. Well, actually, that's pretty close enough. But I pretty much got the gauge cluster. Took me like quite some time to get my hands on it, and yeah, I got the same functionality as before. The main issue was the LCD unit. So my old unit that got replaced was a whole unit, and it gets to be sold to somebody else who needs it, of course. And there you go. That's another part that is actually pretty pricey, which is another consideration when I was, you know, obviously looking at it. But now I got a working fuel gauge, a working temp gauge, a working tachometer, speedometer, and tachometer. All the bulbs are working, the light, everything lights up. I can drive at night and see the fuel and the water temp without hitting the station or whatever, getting good lighting. But overall, I mean, that was a big pill to swallow to get this bike sorted out. And gauge cluster says 20,000 miles, around 20,000 miles on it, so it's pretty goddamn fresh compared to like 80,000 miles. But other than that, it's been sorted out, man. I plan on keeping the bike obviously a little bit longer than anticipated, and fixing it up than anticipated. I mean, if I chose to get like something like a Grom or a scooter or even like a beginner-ish bike that will have a little bit better gas mileage, I think saving the VFR is a bit more cost-effective in my opinion. The factors that I considered was pretty much like, let's say, the insurance and the gas price, and overall, like, I already have good brakes on it, I already have decent tires. I mean, the bodywork, yeah, I said it was not that great last time, but yeah, I'm just, you know, fixing it up here and there as I go, and hey, that thing's gonna keep going as long as it's well maintained. But on the horizons for this bike, I mean, is there any other bike that I don't think there's any other bike on the market that really I feel would connect this well. I don't know. I had a 250. I've ridden a Softail. Like, I've ridden. What else have I ridden? I've ridden the VTX. I've ridden Harley Dyna. I've ridden what other bike? I've ridden the R6. So 2016 R6, 2004 VTX, Honda VTX cruiser bike. Harley Dyna is a cruiser bike, 2016, kind of modern-ish bike. So it's already almost 10 years old. So I had the chance to buy those bikes, and I had the chance to ride those bikes. And man, I tell you that I just feel like the VFR is such a good bike. Like, I just can't get rid of the bike. Like, it's just the power band is good. The sound obviously is actually really good. The transmission still feels really good. The brakes need some improvement, but they're still not that bad because the VFR just has so much engine braking on it. It's not even a joke. Like, I kind of wanna make the bike into like more of a upright police, like a more like upright bars, I guess, just more like upright bars and less sporty, I guess, because I already have another sport bike that's obviously way better in every other aspect. But man, I still really like the Honda 1998 Honda VFR, the first gen VFR. I really don't see any other bike that would fulfill the criteria of, like, what do you call it, like an all-rounder bike, even if it's newer used. I mean, I honestly have considered like getting like another pinnacle bike, which has been the Goldwing, or like maybe like a bagger bike that's like a BMW touring bike. That would probably be the close, but I've heard from some guys that own like an older BMW that the dry clutch system is burns up the clutches faster, and if you go in the city, it's just a damn shame. Like, it doesn't even last that long. It's like a car, right? Once the clutch is burned out, it's not gonna shift no more, and it's really gonna leave you stranded, most likely. So, I mean, it has the features of a wet clutch, cam driven, fairings on it, touring capabilities, a big gas tank which is around 5 gallons. It goes almost 30 miles to 40 miles a gallon. Okay, it's a bit more heavy, so that kind of decreases it. But yeah, and obviously one of the factors I would also consider that is pretty good is that it looks like a piece of crap, and most people would say that, oh, you got a piece of crap bike. But a lot of people, especially classic bikes, you gotta respect the classic bikes typically, right? I mean, I've seen some guys with like old school bikes, and you just always, it's always a respectable, commendable thing. So, you know, and we're old, you know, you're just trading off a lot of things, thinking about a lot of components sometimes when it comes to reliability, you know, how fast and all this stuff. So, longevity's sake, easily, I can see the VFR going to like 200,000 probably. Easily. I mean, and that's just with maintenance, that's just, you know, general upkeep. You know, I mean, it has the same, probably the same original starter, and it's the same original, all this like things you typically might replace once in a while, or obviously like it's just that good of a bike that I think it is worth keeping around. I mean, the only other bike that I think will topple it is probably like a 750 to like 1,000 liter bike, and I also considered the fact that I really don't need like such a powerful bike for how I ride, and you know, I get into enough trouble or like uncontrollable instances where I just want to open it up a little bit and clear out the debris of the fuel system and let it rip. So I'm still very satisfied to keep holding on to it, and this is just an update. You know, this bike right after I kind of made the video, just like fell flat on its face and was ready to kick me in the teeth when it comes to like maintaining things and stuff, all the systems. So safe to say I didn't see any other option that was probably going to be reasonable in my opinion. So since I already had another bike, obviously it's not like I'm in a rush to get another one. So that is why I was able to wait. You know, like I was like, it took quite some time, you know, because like the parts took a while. Even, you know, old or new, sometimes the parts take forever to come. And there's been quite some recalls that some engines have failed due to like inferior components, even those which are OEM, you know, like just failing engines that are fresh out the lot, low miles, and this thing just keeps plopping the miles. I mean, sometimes it just didn't even make sense. I see, like in the conditions right now, those Japanese bikes are perfectly fine and reasonable, but you know, I still felt the desire to keep this bike. So I've definitely learned to respect it more and more, and you know, it's not like I didn't do oil changes and I didn't check a lot of stuff, but man, I've definitely if it happened a lot sooner, I would have probably blown up the engine. So I'm very grateful for the VFR not doing that in the beginning when I first bought it. I'd rather blow up anything else that's not, well, I would have been definitely the head gasket service, but, or any contamination and stuff like that. So yeah, I mean, I bit the bullet. I chose to save the VFR, and the VFR is staying with me, and it might reach close to 100,000 miles on a bike, which is pretty dang rare. So all things considered, anyways, the lifetime of a bike. Body work, I may consider body work in the future, but yeah, I see no reason to change any of that yet. Yeah, I mean, as like pretty much like I've seen other things that are happening in the market is like bike rental. I'm probably gonna be more of a bike rental guy when it comes to touring. I've definitely have been able to test a few more than a few bikes when I was in the moments of wanting to or thinking about replacing it, right? So I still see it as it is, and how it's, you know, reasonable and not balls to the wall fast and pretty dang reliable. So and also is fuel injected all, you know, the works the nine. So, you know, batteries, nothing but I see just general maintenance, you know. I think the modern day equivalent to the VFR is going to be like the Hayabusa in my opinion. I think so, because I really like the seating position of the Gixxer, but the Hayabusa is obviously a completely different animal. But I would certainly not put a Piper on the Hayabusa, because I would be tempted to really want to hear it sing. But in retrospect, you know, so anything that doesn't completely break the bank, I mean, you'll definitely have fun with any bike. But in my purpose, the Honda VFR really is a top tier bike that is just so good, and I just always have a goddamn joy riding the dang thing, and I can see why it's so popular among other communities and different ages and